Alright, what is your name?
My name's Clint Shireman,
Okay, well, when did you graduate?
2008.
And what major historical moments did you have in your high school career?
Historical moments. So we're talking outside of high school?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably the biggest one that took place when I was here at North was the 2008 presidential election between McCain and Obama, which was, clearly a landmark. But now looking back, we didn't know how good we had it with those two candidates. You had a bipartisan war hero and a very distinguished, intelligent up-and-comer. And ever since then, it's just gone downhill, it seems like. So could have voted for either one and not been wrong, but...
What was the school atmosphere like whenever you were attending North?
When I was here, the year I graduated, we were the last class that had the run of the old building. Because the class of 2009, I believe the following year they started the remodel, and it wasn't completed for a couple of years after that. So it was good, I guess. Everything was tighter. We all had to be closer together all the time, share classrooms. We still had, well, you probably still have senior paper day, I imagine, right? But ours seemed to be much more chaotic than it is now, from what I hear. The can drive was still in the old senior circle, so we had something the size of a bedroom to work in when we were sorting all those cans and things like that. So,
what did you enjoy most about your high school career?
Really, we had a large group of students in a community that seemed to be pretty well behaved. So everyone's friends were close by. There were issues here and there, but overall, everything seemed to work. Everyone got along for the most part, and I don't know. I'm sure there was bullying and things like that, but there wasn't anything that broke the bank, I guess. So.
What was the rivalry like between North and East?
Heated. With everything. I'm sure it's still the same now, but it didn't matter if it was band or cross country or football or tennis. People showed up and were upset with the other side for anything. But then, afterwards you'd see, as long as it wasn't at an event, we could be friends. But I remember playing men's volleyball as a club, and we didn't have enough guys to fill a roster, so we had a couple of East kids, and we were all pretty wary about it, even though we'd be on the same team. So, yeah, still heated, right? Is it still that way?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah?
definitely.
Good.
What was your favorite class and why?
Oh, man. I had a few favorite classes. I always enjoyed any sort of PE or gym classes. I took advanced PE, which was weight training and Hoosier Hysteria. I don't know if you still have Hoosier Hysteria. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it broke up the day really nicely. I always enjoyed that. I liked a lot of business classes. That group of teachers in particular seemed like you could really feel them caring about the students for whatever reason. But probably my favorite class was U.S. History with Jerry Mahe. And I don't know, it was almost like your uncle telling you a story when he would lecture. So that's probably why.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite teacher and why?
I don't think I want to answer that question. I had a lot of favorite teachers. I don't know that I could say I had a favorite teacher, because I had good relationships with a lot of the administrators and teachers. And even now as an adult, when I see them out around town, we still talk and catch up. And I come back once a year for the can drive, so I still see a few of them here. So that would be, I'm going to be political and not answer the question.
What was your favorite restaurants in Columbus when you would go out to eat when you were in high school?
Well, Olympia was right across the street, but that was always very busy. Man, I haven't thought about that for a long time. We always, there used to be a Mexican restaurant called Bajío, and my lunch group and I would always go there because they never tired of it, and I did. And they would lure me in the car and say, we're going to go to wherever. We won't go to Bajío today, and then sure enough, we would wind up at Bajío, which, the food was okay, but every day for, weeks was a bit much, but I don't know, not Bajío, I guess. Nothing against they're not around anymore, but, yeah.
What was the hip or cool place to meet up?
The hip or cool place to meet up? I would have to be hip or cool to know that, I think. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know that there was any one place. I spent a lot of time in friends' houses, but I don't know. Out in the town. I'm not sure.
Who was the principal?
Mr. Clark.
Did you have to do senior projects, and if so, what was yours?
We were the last year of senior portfolios, which was great in the sense that it was easy for us, but not so great in the sense that we could sort of just pull it together last minute and not have to worry about it. So it wasn't like a buildup of, we didn't really have to manage anything to be able to finish our portfolio and graduate. So, no.
What did the yearbook look like when you were in high school?
What do you mean?
Aesthetically, do you remember kind of when you would get it? They try and have a distinct theme each year.
They had a theme each year. I don't know. I'm sure it's very similar to what it is now. I don't know when it changed. I think it changed in the late 90s with Kim Green, and they started to have the more succinct and themed yearbooks versus just the log, and here's, student pictures and club pictures and team pictures. So.
How many people were in your school total?
I think when I graduated, we were around. We always were hovering around 2,000, just under or just over. The class of 2008 had 427. I remember that. So, at least I think. I could be wrong, but somewhere over 400 for our class.
What were the hostiles then?
What do you mean, hostiles?
Like the trendy ones or popular ones?
Fashionable ways to dress.
Oh, that's what hostiles mean? Is that a new trendy word that I don't know about? Well, I'm not going to go to the trendy meetup place and say hostiles, so. Trendy ways to dress. You're looking at it, I think. No, so I think what I had started to notice in high school is that decades come back, right? And so when I was in college, it was the early 90s, so there's neon and weird shorts on guys, and when I was in high school, I think it would probably be some aspects of the 70s, so there were more, skinny jeans weren't really a thing. Most guys would wear straight-legged jeans or boot cuts or something like that, and I don't know, pretty normal-looking clothes, stuff that you might see your dad in, I guess.
What was the defining moment of your high school experience?
The defining moment. Oh, man. What's everyone else said?
The last movie said was basically just that, like, he was on the triangle, and
Yeah.
so, like, the articles that he would write was, like, he didn't have a specific one, but just that experience
Yeah.
defined.
I think I was fortunate enough to be on a couple of good teams in high school. I ran cross country under Coach Weinheimer, who is an expert at developing culture and team and everyone working for one another. But I was also part of the men's volleyball club when it started, and we were not a good team. We were pretty bad, but it was a group of guys who, as long as we could stay in it, would do anything for each other, because that's the way that. I mean, volleyball is the ultimate team sport. You can't rely on just one person. It is everyone on the floor has to work. So.
What, in your opinion, made your time at North unique?
I'm not sure. I had, by all accounts, pretty. I think anyway, a normal high school experience. I was not unpopular, but I wasn't popular. Just middle of the road, mediocre, marginal. But I was involved in different sports and clubs and student assembly, so I had, I guess, a sort of a different relationship with teachers and administrators and even students that we'd work with and do projects with and things like that. So, did I answer the question?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the question was now. So.
So you said you participated in a couple of sports. Why did you choose to participate in those?
I'm a younger sibling, and you kind of follow your older siblings' footsteps a lot of times. My brother ran cross country in high school, so I started running it in middle school at Central, and I really enjoyed it. And so when I looked up to Coach Weinheimer and his group of athletes at the time when I was going to come into high school were that period of time when he was racking up state championships with Christian Wagner and Ben Milroy and Ryan Dixon and those guys. So I was excited to come in and be a part of that team. And then men's volleyball, I don't know, was just a kind of a fluke thing. Some guys wanted to start it and knew a coach who would help, and I jumped in and had a good time. So we lost a lot, but still had a good time. So.
What was the defining news moment during your time at North?
Defining news moment. Probably, I mean, the 2008 presidential election again. I think when I was a freshman, we had Katrina had hit New Orleans, and so it was that disaster and kind of culture shock of what people have to go through, and then my senior year was capped probably by the 2008 election of McCain and Obama. So.
And then we're almost out of time. So,
Okay.
Do you have any final thoughts? Any miscellaneous?
What should I say?
It's
What are you
just
looking for, Mark?
Nothing.
Okay.
In case you had any miscellaneous things that you really wanted to say to us.
No, I think we were talking about sports earlier and the culture and people working for one another. I think that my time at North was that a lot. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm sure there was bullying, and I'm sure that there was hurt and pain, but overall I think the culture of North is working for one another all the time, or at least when I was here. I'm sure it's the same way now, because you have it's a really unique school in that you have not just teachers that care, but the administrators. If you really talk to them, they all care. I mean, when I was here, the deans that I had are no longer here, but Mr. Sheridan and Mr. Payne, if you were to talk to them, they didn't like yelling at kids. They didn't like getting kids in trouble. They actually wanted to help the students who they saw on a daily basis. And if you have a conversation with Mr. Clark, he's a complete goon, but he'll do anything for you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Green and Miss Scott are the same way.